forgiveness is and what forgiveness isn't. We all been hurt by people throughout our lives, and sometimes these injustices stick with us, and then it leads to us harboring negative emotions towards other people. It leads us to maybe not being able to let go of the past, and it leads to struggling to move along. A very good example of this is the injustice of, let's say your partner forgot your anniversary. Well, they forgot your anniversary. That's painful. But let's say that you want to not let go of this and you don't want to forgive them. There are different motivations for not wanting to forgive somebody, and I completely understand that. The motivations could include they don't deserve forgiveness, that was too mean, how could they not remember? And you're right, not remembering somebody's anniversary is kind of mean, it is disrespectful, and it's inconsiderate. However, it may have not been done with ill intention. People are fallible, people make mistakes, but at the same time they all deserve forgiveness. Now, let's say in the example where your husband forgets your anniversary. I'm not trying to put husbands on blast out there, but let's say your husband forgets your anniversary and you say, I'm going to hang on to that. Then let's say that the following year they forget something else. Let's say they forget something that you asked them to do. Well, then you can hang on to that. You hang on to that, the next thing, and ultimately you have a whole pile of resentments. Resentments are like a poison that eats a relationship from the inside out. I like to compare resentments like a snake bite. When people, well, back in the day when people get bit by a snake, there was this belief that you should be able to cut the wound and suck out the poison and spit it out, and somehow that will lead to the person getting better, and everything's gonna be okay. Truthfully speaking, I wouldn't recommend that you bite somebody's leg, or I wouldn't recommend that you cut somebody's leg with a knife and then suck out the poison. What's more likely to happen is that you will accidentally ingest some of the poison, and then you'll get sick yourself, and you'll be taking on the poison, and your body's gonna bleed to death. So I personally wouldn't do that. What I do recommend, though, is to get them to the hospital as soon as possible. Nonetheless, I went on a tangent there. It is important to notice and to know that for relationships, resentment is the poison that hurts the relationship. In relationships, what it looks like is being able to revisit the points of hurt and being able to heal those wounds. I'll give you an example. Let's say that your partner forgot something very important. Then let's say that it really hurt your feelings. And that's the issue that you're struggling with. We call this the uncovering phase in therapy. You have to uncover exactly what the resentment is. What is a resentment? Is it that they forgot something, or is it that you think that they're inconsiderate? Is it that it was very important? Is it that they do this repeatedly? What is it that you're trying to focus on? What are you focusing on when you uncover the resentment? You uncover the resentments and the hurt and how it made you feel, what it did to you. Did it make you more distant? Did it make you not trust your partner? Did it make it to where you wanted to close off? Whereas if trust was broken, try to uncover what it is. Now understand what forgiveness is. You have to decide whether or not you want to forgive. But if you're going to be in this marriage for the next 40, 50 years, right? You want to forgive. Otherwise, you're hanging on to these things that you're collecting over the years. And after a while, that kind of weighs on you. Usually, I've seen it multiple times, when people hang on to resentments, what it usually leads to is that they end up exploding one day, or they just walk away quietly. And the relationship dies without anybody really understanding completely what happened. And sometimes it leads to years on the line, the person revisiting their suffering, their pain, and realizing I was hanging on to resentments. I didn't let it go, and it became the end of my relationship. You cannot hang on to resentments. Identify what it is, uncover what it is, and decide to forgive it. Decide to forgive things, because when people love, they forgive. It's part of the process. And if you forgive, you'll let go of things. You'll let go of the pain and suffering that's hurting you. If you hang on to a piece of hot coal, it doesn't hurt. If you compare hot coal to anger, the anger doesn't hurt anybody else but you. The coal burns your hands. You have to choose to work through it and try to recognize what emotions you're feeling. Are you feeling hurt? Are you feeling betrayed? Are you feeling as if the person, again, is inconsiderate in some way? Because they may have made a mistake in that one moment, but it doesn't really generalize who they are as a person. It doesn't define their character as an entirety. It just means that for that one moment in time, they were not perfect. Can you let go of that one mistake that they made in that specific time frame for the positive qualities they have to offer? In the grand scheme of things, is hanging on to that one mistake worth not being with a person who you could be with for the next 40 years and be happy and have a lot of positive experiences with? Is one mistake worth losing somebody who you have 40,000 experiences that are positive with? No, well, it's not. You have to deepen. What's it called? Your understanding of why something happened. If your partner hurt you by forgetting your anniversary, could it be the case that they've been very busy? Could it be the case that they maybe are working too much and they just got sidetracked? Could it be the case that somehow they wrote it down wrong on the paper or calendar or something? What is the reason why it happened? Now, this reason may not always justify what happened. It usually won't, right? You can't really justify forgiving your anniversary, but at the same time, trying to understand what the person did, what they went through, why it happened, helps you put yourself in their shoes and have empathy for what occurred. So let's say they've been super busy, right? Maybe they've been so busy trying to raise money to buy you an anniversary present, so much that they forgot that it was the anniversary date on that day specifically, but they forgot because they were trying to buy you an anniversary present. Can you really be mad at that? You can't. And if you still think that you should hang on to this resentment, and if you still think that you shouldn't forgive because how dare they forget your anniversary, then maybe it is you who's got to do some work on compassion. Maybe they're not perfect. Yes, nobody's perfect. Do you expect people to be perfect? If you do, you're going to be disappointed. Nobody's perfect ever, right? Only one person's perfect. But that being said, if they're not perfect, then it is you who's struggling to show compassion. And if you're struggling to show compassion, ask yourself why. Why are you not showing compassion to the person who you say that you love? When love meets suffering and stays loving, that's compassion. You gotta ask yourself, why can't I show compassion to this person? Now, there are a couple of different answers for that. There are some, for example, when people are kids and they don't receive a lot of compassion from their parents, and they're criticized for every single little mistake that they make, sometimes they take this with themselves into relationships, and they become punitive with their words, with their actions, and they're unable to forgive people easily. They struggle because sometimes it is hard to give something that you never received. So then maybe it's time to do some work on compassion giving, on compassion training, on being able to express this towards other people. And maybe, just maybe, if you struggle to give it to other people, you might also struggle to give it to yourself whenever you need it. So maybe that's an area of growth that you need to work on. Thank you.